Hi everyone, my name is Dmitry Morozov. I'm also working under alias VTOL, and today I'm gonna do a short workshop presentation of a few techniques that I'm using to take live data, some data from internet, actually mostly from websites, to use them as a source for something, for anything in interactive art projects I do. So I'm a multidisciplinary artist working with sound, robotics, light, and different other medias. And internet and different data we can find there is an amazing source of inspiration and data itself that could be used anyhow to control, to expose, to activate and trigger different things in art projects, to visualize or sonify something. And we're living surrounded with different data, and luckily internet is full of amazing resources that are available for us to use them as a source of this data. X-ray from the sun, temperature of the ocean, wind speed, stock markets, whatever. And only our creativity is limiting how we can transfer this data into something interesting, and it could be something very straightforward, just direct transfer of the information into another media, another way of representing this data, or it could be something extremely complicated and complex, conceptually, technically, whatever. So there are 100 different ways how this could be done, or thousands actually, and I'm not pretending to be very advanced in that, and all what I'm gonna show is anyhow connected to MaxMSP. Actually, Max, the program which I'm mainly using in my art practice. This is my main weapon of choice for that, and it's maybe not the best way or not the most unique, or there are much more interesting and more advanced ways to do that, but still Max is cool and unique, and it makes sense why we can add some data to Max to control sound, light, video, maybe movement of a robot, or even the temperature of the swimming pool you want to create as an art piece. Who knows, maybe fontaine or whatever. So and Max is super flexible in transferring different data into triggers, other data, media, whatever. So and of course I need to mention that this workshop is a collaboration between me, Hou2Touch group or educational program, and CreativeCodeArt community. And thanks to all of them for providing this possibility to share my experience and knowledge with you. And I'm gonna mention this few more times later, but this free workshop is a part of a bigger program. We're starting with Hou2Touch, which will be a big course for MaxMSP, so which if you will be interested, you can join, and you could easily learn Max deeper after that. And this is kind of a promotion of this course, so I'm gonna explain this later a bit more. And I'm not pretending to give you possibility to use Max immediately if you are completely new into that. It's more like a demonstration and presentation of possibilities and few ways how we can work with this topic. And by itself, this topic could easily take few months of learning and studying and trying different ways, and it will be maybe too complicated for those of you that never used Max before, and at the same time too simple for people who are advanced in Max. So I'm trying to be here somewhere in between. I'm also not pretending that I'm super professional. I'm like more an artist than a programmer. I just know a couple tricks which I wanted to share, and maybe they could inspire you, and then in the same time you will see how easy using simple tools like Max you could increase level of your artworks and the quality or just the complexity of what you're doing, and this will like help you to fight the fear of using some complicated things, or maybe things that you think are complicated which are not at all. So I gonna show few examples, actually 3 examples of what of how I do that. And I would not call Max the most comfortable program to do that, and we like always need something additional, or for 2 or 3 examples we would need something additional to make this working, but these tools are very simple, and the more modeler you are, the more different tools you know how to use, and how like using computer, how you can integrate them, then more flexible you are in what you're doing. So I gonna share the screen with the patch. I hope everything goes smooth and you could easily see that. And everyone who is participating today will get the file of the patch I'm gonna present and describe. So you could easily use that or modify or do whatever you want with it. Also, I hope the video will be available, so you could like come back to it and anytime check. And also we will do questions and answers part at the end. I don't know, you could actually write this to the chat, and assistant will transfer this questions to me directly. So I hope there will be some, and I could answer today. So, and yeah, I will start, and I hope the screen share gonna work well now. The first option I'm gonna show is extremely simple, and at the same time elegant, I would say. It's not very universal, but there is no universal solution. There is no solutions that could help you with and solve all your problems taking something from the website or from the internet. But the variety of websites that provide some amazing data is huge. And some of them, for example, like this one, which I really love, it's called lightningmaps.org. It shares data about every lightning happening in the sky above in our atmosphere, so during the thunderstorms. And there are hundreds or sometimes thousands of them happening per minute every time. Even if it's winter in the north of the Europe, somewhere close to equator or in Pacific Ocean or somewhere else, there is always some thunderstorm happening, and there are always some lightnings. And the main part, of course, in using any interesting data is actually finding the source of this data. And this one I was using for one of my projects, which I'm gonna show. And again, this is just examples, but few other I never was using. So today, when I was preparing for this workshop, I just found some websites I found interesting or actually tricky to get data from, and use them for as examples. So what is super great about this map, and about many other maps and any other sources of data, visual or any other data, is that they are tweakable. You can calibrate how exactly they look. And for example, this one is absolutely amazing. It's made actually by amateur scientists, by a community of enthusiasts who build their radio frequency detectors for lightnings themselves, and they also share the schematics and the kits so you could build your own. And then through the internet they all connected together, and they track from many stations all around the world exact radio activity that lightning creates when it sparks in the sky. So which is super easy to track and to filter it by the profile of the wave probably, or I cannot tell exactly that it's exactly lightning and not a meteorite, or I don't know, some explosion somewhere else. So the fingerprints of these lightnings are quite obvious. And yeah, on this website you could do a lot in changing the way how they present the data. So there are these amazing lines showing which exactly stations got the data about exact lightning. You have statistics of lightnings per minute. You could also check this, change the scale of the map, and depending on the scale, it also like show exact amount of lightnings in the cropped map you are looking at right now. What's absolutely amazing is that they have sound here, and exactly the sound I'm gonna use for taking data from this website and making Max doing something based on lightnings. And what's also amazing is that the delay from the data they collect is only 2.2 seconds. So almost immediately after lightning happening somewhere, you get it online and you can use it for something. So there is an amazing button which when you press, which you get the sound of every lightning happening. So probably I didn't set it to go directly to the streaming, but through the microphone you probably hear these clicks. So and for sure there are many other websites dedicated to whatever, also having sound as some sonification of some process. So what I'm doing next is extremely simple. I'm getting the sound into the Max through the audio input of the Max. I'm gonna actually recreate the patch to show how exactly this works. So you could first I wanted to show you the idea behind it, and then I'm gonna explain how exactly this works. So there are many ways how you can do that. It also depends on the system you have. What's amazing about the Max, we have audio input, right? And audio input itself is an amazing source, not only of the sound as a media, but also as a sound as a trigger or as a command for something. And the most almost idiotically simple way how you can do that, you could have a sound card and just connect output to the input. Since the sound goes directly from the website to our speakers or to the sound card, which you could hook to your computer, you can easily use one of the channels of the output to connect it to the input of the sound card, and then you kind of create a loop. You should avoid feedback, because if you do monitoring of these channels, you definitely get a feedback, and then it will be like this parasitic signal. But why not? If this works, and if you have a goal in creating an artwork, and you want to reach some stability, why not? Any kind of ways how you can create the system works, especially if you have a multi-channel sound card. Even the 2-channel sound card, like on this image, is working great for that. But then you are having only one channel left for something else. For example, if you're creating a sound installation at the end, then potentially you have only mono signal. But you can also, depending on the system and how good you are with your computer, you could also use, for example, the headphones output as the main output from the computer, and they goes to the sound system or whatever you have, and then external sound card just as this kind of a loop thing that listens to itself. Again, I'm reminding that you should avoid direct monitoring of the input so that the sound of the input doesn't go directly to the output. This is why I made on this image this diagonal line that the channel number 2 goes to channel number 1. This could also help. But of course, there are many interesting external software devices, I mean software programs, for example, like Loopback, which yeah, the people are asking me to shut down the clicks from the website because they are too loud. Okay, I will do that. I hope you get the idea that I'm getting them directly into the program. So software called Loopback is an amazing software. Unfortunately, not completely freeware, so you can easily download it for experimenting. But if you don't buy the license from time to time, it could create some noises forcing you to buy a license. But this is, I'm not promoting anyhow exactly this one. There are many other many other software solutions for that, but Loopback is quite great because you could hijack the sound in your, for example, if you're working on Mac. I don't know if it exists also for Windows, but probably there are some other programs like Jack. So you could directly take the signal, for example, from Google Chrome, where you have some sound data, and put it into the input of Max. Also, Loopback by itself create a sound driver, and if you go to the settings of Maximum Speed or audio status, you could see here as an input device Loopback audio. So I'm directly getting the sound from the program that takes the sound from the Google Chrome, which is super nice because I could also get these clicks from the website only to Max and not anyhow pass them to the external headphones, which I will actually try to do right now, so that the sounds are still going. But they are not disturbing us anyhow. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear me still. I hope you do. But now we see that the lightnings are happening. I see that Max is receiving the sounds of them, and everything what should work works. But it doesn't go to the speakers, so it doesn't interfere my speech, or if you want to use this data from the website and not anyhow use them for the output of your work, whatever it is, maybe it's a light installation, then they do what they should do, but they don't go directly as the output of your work anyhow. So what I do next is quite simple. Actually, it's extremely simple. I'm receiving the data, and there is an amazing object called live gain in Max, which is actually used mostly just to control the volume. But it has few outputs, and one of the outputs shows the level of the signal. And when there is no signal, it's minus something like minus endless, minus infinity. But once the spark happens, the signal level jumps. And using floating point number, I could easily observe this. And then using very simple mathematical operator, I'm just creating a threshold. So when the level of the signal is bigger than minus 50 decibels, I'm receiving actually an output, a positive output. It's just one. So every time when the level reaches its 1, the sparks are quite sharp, and they are not. I don't know if YouTube stream is fast enough to actually show that this number jumps, but with this cross with the toggle object, we definitely see that. Then I have a change object which prevents double triggers, because when the mathematical operators see the level of the signal higher than the number, then it's actually constantly creates a lot of triggers, and I need to filter them to just get one number out of one spark. And then using select object, I'm actually just receiving a trigger. So I'm extracting this 0. It waits for extracting this digit 1, and once it comes there, I have a bang. A bang is one of the simplest and the most important objects in Maximus P that activates something, that triggers something. So, and what we can do with this trigger is whatever. I just made this sketchy images here, so the trigger itself visualize that the process is ongoing, that something happens, but we can not like here directly connecting this to Arduino. We need few more objects to that, but we can connect this, for example, to Arduino, which activates motors, light, I don't know, maybe a pump for creating a stream of water, whatever. So and then we use Max to process this sound and turn them into whatever we want. Or we can just create our own sound, but much more complex, interesting, or it could be extremely complicated patch. So it goes here to some sub patch called master patch. It's empty there. It's just to show that it could go to the universe of Max, and you can create whatever. So it could be a poetry machine that creates random or not random algorithmical poetry. So whatever. And I think it's extremely simple, but at the same time you get the real-time data from interesting source of this data. And I have an example of an artwork I have created using exactly this technology. Probably I use it pure data instead of Maximus P for this one, but it's not so important. This project is called ADAT, and I made it in 2021. And it's a kinetic art piece, which actually it's a robotic machine that have 12 hammers that hit crystals with these hammers, and the crystals are piezo crystals, so special crystals that create electrical spark when you apply kinetic energy on them, when you hit them. So they are widely used all around us, for example in microphones, in contact microphones, which is actually also tracking kinetic energy and vibration in surfaces and turning them into the electrical signals. And then the sparks, which are created using hammers, are turned into the light and sound of the artwork. Every movement of the hammer is actually activated by this trigger of the lightning. So I kind of used this website already, so I don't know, but you can of course invent something else. It's a completely open source and there. I will maybe not show the video of it because I'm not sure if the sound will go properly. Maybe just like a few seconds. So it's also creates some light sparks and movement. And what is extremely important for me is that right in the space of the exhibition, next to the work, I have a monitor with the website. And this is very important for me because when I do this kind of art and science things, projects, it's so easy, and we see this a lot, that people do it very speculative, that people actually just pretend that they're using some data or some interesting source of something, and they just do it very speculative with imitating something. And this is why it's nice that you use a website created by someone which anyone could reach who came to the exhibition. They could check this website and be sure that this is real-time process and they are related and connected. Of course, we could like even write our own website to do that, but I think this is interesting when you're using a source created by someone else and then turn them into your art, which is much more true, I would say. Yeah, I don't know, I hope this was clear. Of course, I didn't explain the basics of Max here, and it would be probably a bit complicated for anyone who never used this program before. But it's more important here for me to show the conceptual idea behind it. Yeah, so the signal from the Chrome is hijacked by loopback, so it wasn't going the sound of the installation. But it doesn't matter. You can check it if you are interested on my website anytime. Yeah, quite simple, but I'm pretty sure there are hundreds and thousands of amazing websites sonifying something, and this could be something very serious like alarm of I don't know, tsunami in Japan or something like that. Or it could be just a video game maybe, and someone else is playing Mario and you want to trigger, actually not the trigger, but track the sound. And of course, using Max, you could even do a pitch tracking, so you could not just detect the sound, but you could easily also analyze the sound, and depending on the pitch or whatever else, you could turn it into the different ways of how it acts and what it do. Yeah, and I had a counter here just to count the amount of sparks the program detected. What's the last comment about this website, for example, which is also great, is that the sound actually stereo here. I turned it down, but you could not hear it. But if you reach the website, you could understand this. And so the lightning's happening on the left side of the map are going to the left channel, and the right to the right channel, which is great because this could be also some kind of like variable if it's important for your project. And this is why here, after the input, after the microphone, which is actually not a microphone, but the audio input of the Max is connected to the both channels, each channel to the both channels, because I didn't want to split them. I want to have all the triggers going directly to the patch, and not anyhow do determination about which one is which. But you could also do that, and maybe it could be even like more interesting depending on the data you get. So I will slowly shift to the second example. If you have any questions, please ask them immediately. I can see if the assistant will transfer them to me. So the second example is much more complex and much more, let's say, universal, or I would say obvious, and you would definitely when we're talking about the data online or about any interesting data or scientific data, we're usually thinking about the arrays of text or some kind of numeric data or text data that you could find online, or you could get it from the scientific lab, and you could like analyze, read them, and turn into something. And there are thousands and thousands of projects made during last, I don't know, 50, 30, 40 years where artists were using something like that, depending on the way how they were extracting this. Of course, these days there are thousands of different labs sharing online what they do, statistics, or I don't know, just arrays of the analysis, or just direct data from the sensors, satellites, whatever. So so the textual data is on one side is the easiest, on the other side sometimes is a very tricky data. You could get actually you could like somehow extract and use. All depends on the source. If you're lucky and you're doing a proper art and science project in collaboration with some scientist or lab, you can buy the data from them, or they could just provide it for you for free, or you are just like doing this together, and you get it in the format which is easy for you to analyze. It's XML or PDF or I don't know, TXT file. But if you found something interesting online and you don't even know how to contact this institution, or they are not replying your emails, but they are providing this online somehow, usually the format of this data will be extremely uncomfortable to track and analyze. And there are many tools to do that. Of course, Python is one of the most obvious and simple and common things to read data online and transfer them into something. But in this example, in this particular example, I'm also using Python, and of course I'm going to share with you the file, and you should not be afraid of that, because I'm not a programmer at all. You could easily find almost any solution in Stack Overflow or just on Google by asking right questions of what it should be and what it should do. And in this one, I made almost a brute force very straightforward option of extracting some data from the website. And I found a nice example which I never used before. There is an amazing institution in US which is called NOAA. So it's National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So a similar institution to NASA, which is for space and aerospace things. And I would not call it amazing, it's just nice that they're sharing a lot of data. So, and for example, they have thousands and thousands of buoys. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this word right, but the buoy is, sorry, I lost, yeah, the right, buoy is, you get it from the image probably. Yeah, it's this floating, actually not floating, but standing still in the ocean with the anchor thing. But there are also droning self floating buoys in the ocean as well, but most of them are standing still because otherwise they will be like all lost, or they're gonna disturb ships or animals. So there are buoys for different purposes. Some of them are just helping navigate, like for navigation or showing some dangerous zones, but others, and the ones that NOAA is using, are scientific buoys which are used for meteorology, for analyzing the atmosphere, or ocean temperature, whatever, what's important, not only for safety but also for science, to understand what happens with the oceans, with the atmosphere. And they have thousands of them all around the world. And there is a special website only dedicated to them. So you see, I don't think that they all belong to NOAA. I think they are like shared between different countries, different institutions. Check how many of them are on the equator. So it's absolutely amazing. And I just found this website today. I mean, I knew about them, and there is few amazing art projects actually using them, because some of them which are floating on the Great Lakes in US and Canada, actually providing data about the waves and the curves of the waves, as I remember. And for example, an artist, David Bowen, he created an amazing robotic art project by tracking data from one of these buoys. Also, I think Julius von Bismarck, German artist, also created actually a robotic buoy which was exhibited in art space, but it was getting data from the ocean or from the sea somewhere. So by pressing the button, so the yellow ones are active, the red ones are out of service or not getting the data, not sending the data currently. So by pressing it, you could like get something dedicated to exact this buoy, and you could check his personal page with some data on it. It shows temperature of the ocean, temperature of the air, height of the waves. Oh, it's quite high in Atlantics now, 2 meters. It's a storm. Also speed of the wind and a few other parameters I don't even understand right now that fast. And well, some of the websites, they just provide you text or XML files with all the records, but not this one. They don't have it, but they refresh the page every 10 minutes, so they have the like automatic even on each page for each buoy they have a button to automatically refresh the page, so you could see the changes of the data. They are not really fast. I think they update once an hour. I don't know why they ask them to update every 10 minutes, maybe faster. But it's quite nice. It's quite interesting data. Maybe it's not something happening super fast like stock markets, but the priority of your work, the way how you work with time could be very different. It could be like a very slow change during the whole exhibition for 2 months, where you can see the difference only when you are daily coming there and not something happening super fast. So it doesn't matter. The technique will be the same. What I'm doing here, I will go back to Max right now so you could see, and I have the opened page of exact buoy, and it's nice that they even show them on the map where it is. So I track only 3 parameters here: the height of the wave and temperature of the air and water temperature. So if we go to Max, to my patch, you will see that I'm getting exactly these 3 numbers: wave height, water temperature, air temperature. And how I made that? I made it in an extremely simple, almost stupid way, but it works, and it works great, and I'm happy. Maybe if some of you are programmers and really in computer science, you could like do it much more elegant, but I'm just an artist, so don't judge. Since it works, it's totally fine for me. What I'm doing here, I have created, okay, it's really allowed to say created. I have copy pasted and slightly modified an extremely simple Python script, which is taking the website. It's exactly this one. So what is also super fun, that you could change metric or imperial units here, and also change the time if it's needed. And so when you change it, it changes actually the parameters in the address line of the browser, which is comfortable, because then when you add it to the Python, it will check exactly for this version of the website you have customized it for yourself. And every 30 seconds, this short Python script downloads or check the website and turn it into save it as an HTML file. So there is an amazing library which is called HTML to text with the Pythons, which actually not takes the HTML code of the page, but it actually takes the page itself as a text. So it's do a copy paste. And then it's much more simple. But I didn't want to do it this way for you, because then you will have some tricks with installation of the libraries. All these 2 libraries I'm using here, request and time, they're integrated into the Python 3. So it's very easy to use. You don't need to like really dig into the way how to install this and do that. I know that for some of you it will be, even this could sound very complicated, but believe me, you just need to install Python, copy paste this, and this should work. If not, contact me. We will find a way super fast how to do that. So, and of course you could like do it much more elegant with like processing the file and extracting exactly what you need in the Python itself. But we're speaking about Max here, so of course Python could do even the sound and everything for you, but it's more a Max related workshop. Sorry. So what it is doing, it's taking the page as HTML file. So what it is, if you don't know, so every page online is made using HTML, so, or HTML and some other languages, of course, now, but this is the code of the page, which just describes the way how everything should be placed, and we could like see how it looks. What the script is doing is just like requesting the page and saving this as a text file. So when I go to the folder with the patch, with the max patch, I have here this file called file.txt, which is actually exactly this page. Save it every 30 seconds, and it's just this code copy pasted here. And why I'm doing this? I'm doing this because Max has an amazing object which is called text, and this is the object that could read text files, write text files, in our case, or modify text files. In our case, we just read the text file. So just to prove, when I go here to the date, you could see that this file was updated 7:59. I don't know what's time here. I mean, I know what's the time where I am, so it's 7:59 exactly. So I see the script is working. There could be some problems with the admins of the websites, and I had this a few times when I was tracking some data which was changing really often. Like I was requesting the page maybe like every second or something like that, and after a few days they close for me this possibility, because the admin of the website saw that some like strange activity, probably using not a browser but some Python script which he could easily track, so I wasn't hiding anyhow, was requesting them too often, and this created some problems for them. I don't know, once a second, it's not a DDoS attack, right? But it was maybe too hard for them, or they were suspicious or just jealous that someone is automatically tracking the data from the website. But I don't think Noah cares, otherwise why they provide this online. So that would be much more easier and comfort if we just get the page text and not the HTML. But in this case, it was extremely simple to extract exact numbers I need from this mess of crazy codes and different parameters of the page. So what I need to do is just find exactly the exact line in this text file where I have the number of the temperature or wave height or something like that. And that's super easy to do, because once you load the file, and here I have the message that goes to text object, which is called read file.txt. It's not the full address, but since the patch and the file are in the same folder, it will reach exactly the file I need. So when the file is loaded into the object, I could actually open it right in the Max and see the whole code of this file, actually the whole text of this file. And as you can see here, I prepared already 3 numbers: 406, 404, 396. This is 3 lines in that huge text document, which contains what I need. For example, this is definitely 396, and I see here 0.9. From all this mess describing something, the size of the letters and whatever also needed for creating the page, there is this number I need. And once the number is changed on the website, it's also changed in the text file, and Python is reading this twice per minute, and I'm getting a fresh file every like 10 seconds almost. So it's loading and loading and loading again this file and checking if there was some changes. So and then the only thing you need is to extract from this mess exact digit you need or number you need. So I do that from the message. So from the text file, I could request any line. So for example, when I'm pressing here, so it was working in automatic mode, but now I stop it. So I do this manually. Once I'm pressing one of these digits, they are in response for number of the line in the file. And when I'm pressing 406, I'm getting the temperature of the water. When I'm pressing 404, I'm getting air temperature. And luckily, all these digits, they are always in the same position in the line. So when I'm using unpack object, extracting exact position of this number to get it as a number and not all this bullshit which is also going together, when I'm changing the number of the line, luckily it's always in the same place here. So for example, how unpack object works, if I will like connect it to the message and extract it from other position, I will get some part of this mess which I don't need. So but for some other website, you could have like many numbers in one line. You could also easily split them from one message using unpack object. So unpack object is an extremely useful tool for splitting lists or arrays or whatever you're receiving from TXT files or from OSC or from whatever, any protocol. So they are very handy. And as you can see here, for example, in unpack object, I have like many symbols S, which stands for symbol, because every like text data is actually a symbol. And then here in between, I have F, which stands for floating point number, because these numbers are always floating point numbers. And I just, how I found this, I was just trying one by one from which outlet goes what, and then until I just reached the exact position. So this is why I call it a brute force option for extracting data, but it works perfectly. So now I was doing this so manually, but here I created a small sequence. It's a counter object which counts from 0 to 7, so it's 8 different steps. And the metronome, which is an object that creates triggers, actually the same banks I'm using here from the lightnings, and turns these banks into the events. So actually the banks and the events are the same. So the counter, every time when it receives from metronome a command, it creates a digit at the input, at the output, sorry. So I will start it and you will see. So, and this sequencer is actually just, it's a very simple way to do that. There is much more elegant and faster ways if needed, but here I wanted to be very illustrative, just to show you the logic behind. So when the counter comes to 7, it goes to the 0 and it repeats the loop of this sequence. So every time when counter shows some number, it does something. For example, when the 0 is, it sends the command to the read file, to the read message, which loads the file again. So we're always expecting an update of the data. And this is why every 8 seconds I don't need to do it that often. I need to do this only once in 30 seconds, right? Because the Python script saves a new HTML files to TXT only twice a minute, but we could easily change this depending on our needs. It could be much faster if needed, or much slower if we're receiving some update, maybe once a day also possible. Then we don't need to do that. But I just wanted to do that slightly faster for showing the possibility. So on the position 0, it loads the file, then it pressed the dump message, which kind of send all the lines it's not really needed here. I don't want to stuck with that explaining, sorry. And then on the digit 2, it requests line 396. Then once it's requested, it presses the message to actually send this number to unpack, and then metronome also constantly presses messages. So maybe I don't need to explain it that deep, but it's just to make sure that all the data is going into the right moment where it should go. So then once the next line is requested, it also repeats the same sequence of events. So it presses one message, then another, and then using ZL object, I'm combining these 3 digits into the one line, and then again I'm splitting them, which is not really needed. We could do that simpler. We could just create 3 text objects and do for every line like a separate process. But I just wanted to make it in one to be more elegant. You know, if you could solve some task with just one tool, why you need 3? If you could just like sequence the events in the right order and get it as a one line here, then split it, and then they could do whatever they want. This could be a number that stands for the if this is wave height, yeah, maybe you have created a crazy robotic something that hits with the hammer to the wall, and then the force of this hammer will be related to this number. Then maybe you made a pool that is exactly follows the temperature of your favorite lake somewhere, and they also like provide the data from this lake, and you want to have exactly the same temperature. So you could like easily connect this, I don't know, to Arduino that connects to the fridge, or to some climate change something, climate control something, and so on. I think you get the idea. Or maybe you just want to get a sound from that, and then you could scale this number to the frequencies or to the number of the node, and you can play a symphony of the temperature function. You could easily track thousands of buoys since they are updating not that often. You could even like in Python script, for example, do a sequence of the URLs of the addresses it should request, and then one by one getting this data and creating a very massive array of information from them. As you saw in different positions, the waves, even in Atlantics, oh sorry, oh, it's stuck. Even in Atlantics, the height of the wave could be super different, which is fun to play around. So here I also wanted to show one of the projects I have made using exactly the same technique. What is cool about Python that it works in the background. So there are even more dumber and simpler ways to do that. You could even write a code using some special libraries that simulates behavior of a human, like presses of the button and clicks of the mouse, which is also totally fine for some reasons. If you cannot anyhow, I don't know, save the data from online, or HTML is changing the number of the lines and they are never in the same position, you know, this could also happen. Just to be honest, whatever you do using any data from online, in 5 years you will need to rewrite this or change, or even much more often or more frequently, because everyone updates everything. The progress destroys artworks which were made 10 years ago, and we always need to update them. There is no stable source of information and data. The web designer could change slightly the website, and then the whole thing, the whole work you have made using this kind of tricky like patches and strange ways of tracking data could disappear immediately. We need to rewrite everything. But this is the house artists really like to play with, looks like. So for example, this artwork, which is called RX2, tracks the data from another huge US institution, which is like a USGS. I think it's US Geological Society or something like this. So that's the website that tracks and provides information about every earthquake happening on the planet. And there are hundreds of them per day. Just most of them you cannot even feel, but the stations can track them. So anything above 4.5 in this scale of the force of the earthquake, you cannot feel. So only above 4.5. But this website provides even data about 0.8, so which is super shy one. So what this work is doing, actually exactly using Python, I am I'm taking information about every new line. So here it's even simpler. I just need to track the newest line, and if the number here is changed, if I have a new number, then it means it's a new earthquake. Well, it could be another earthquake of the same magnitude, which is quite rare, but I could also track the deepness. So I just can completely analyze the whole line, or maybe when you copy this to text, and maybe it's 2 lines, it also shows date and time. Yeah. And what the work is actually doing, it's a system of 20 drums or percussion instruments that are moving every time when the earthquake is happening, and they're doing this in a sequence. So you could, I will just scroll it. So since the sound from the Chrome is still hijacked by the loopback, and I cannot, but you will see visually what it's doing. Yeah, sorry, the quality is not super high. So every time when the earthquake happens, depending on the speed, on the force and the deepness, it changes the way how the pattern of movement is acting. Okay, and then of course there are hundreds and hundreds interesting resources you could use for doing that. I mean for interesting sources of data. So, and then third example I'm gonna show is actually extracting visual data, and in this case there is a really nice way how you could do that. There are much more advanced and complex ways to do that, but here I just found a very straightforward that could be very helpful for definitely for beginners, and it's a very, very simple and again a very brute force one. So there is a web browser integrated into the Macs, which is of course a weapon of choice if you want to like have a website integrated in your patch somehow. And it's quite advanced in the way how it works. So it can easily understand websites that are updating some live data, some interactive maps, or something like that. So, and unfortunately we cannot, at least I don't know how, you cannot turn the website into the video directly. So there is no like a output from the object. So the object itself is called JWeb. so you could easily like connect to google.com, and it's a fully functional browser inside of the Max patch, which is super great. So here I found a very simple and nice website, which is perfect for doing this kind of example of tracking something online, which is dedicated to this cryptocurrency rates, or I don't know, exchange rates, right? So the prices for them in dollars in this case. And what I'm doing here, there is another great object which is called JIT. I miss it. So it's called JIT desktop. It's an object that can, for example, follow your mouse, and I mean the object doesn't follow your mouse itself, but the object captures the screen. Here it's just in the help file, it's made to show that you could use your mouse to navigate to different part of your patch and capture them as a video. But here I set the pixels of the screen which they should track exactly. So what I'm doing here, I'm actually this JIT desktop is looking at the loaded page right into the patch. What is the weakness of this solution is that once you move the screen, you see that everything moves. So you need to set it still, and then once you are presenting this somewhere, you should like set it and never touch, or you should have a second desktop just to set this to capture the screen, some part of the screen, maybe some web page. Maybe you could use even Chrome if you don't want to use, or any other browser, of course, if you don't want to use space in your patch. So of course you could like do your life more comfortable here. And what I'm doing here, I'm taking this image of the website and chopping this into the small pieces. So there is an object which is called JIT submatrix, which can easily cut any part of the video and turn them into the small pieces of that video, for example. So you could actually watch only some part of the screen, and this could be any kind of map or whatever. And then I'm very simple in a very simple way analyzing just actually one corner pixel of every of this chopped video, because it's always it always has the color I need to track. So when the currency is growing, then we have this pinkish red color. When it's going opposite, of course. It's like something red, it goes down. When it's growing, it goes green. I saw that there are also a few other colors which are quite rare to appear. So it's this dark green when something is growing super fast, or with the big numbers. And also I saw some other kind of red when it's about to go down, but still on zero something. So, but mostly it's green and pinkish red something here. So, and actually the task to track the color is not always simple. It could be tricky, but I turned them into the grayscale. So there is an object which is called RGB to Luma, JIT RGB to Luma. So the JIT is the visual library inside of the Max, and I'm turning every I'm turning this matrices in a just grayscale, in a black and white image. Let's call it. Let's simplify it like this. So how this helps me? Every color have its own brightness, because when we go into the grayscale, they just instead of having RGB data in alpha, instead of having four numbers, for each color. We just have one, and this pinkish red gives 150. And when I'm extracting it, and the green one is 165. Once it turns into dark green or other kind of pink, there will be definitely some other color. So I just track Bitcoin, Ethereum, and these two I don't even know. So, and we could of course like easily chop this all of these segments into the separate matrices and just repeat this process for every of them. And then here I have the same triggers that can trigger whatever. Maybe they're turning your toaster on or starting your cooking your, I don't know, whatever. So, or they are just working for the light, and you have like maybe you do a sound composition out of the stock markets. Yeah, that's all this is very obvious and primitive and simple, but it all depends on the way depends on how exactly you're gonna like work with that, how conceptually you're gonna turn this into something interesting, and how you could like work with this. Yeah. And that was the third example I wanted to show. There are for sure many other, but these three are so simple and at the same time super stable and easy to use, and you could exactly go and search for interesting data and turn them into whatever. So yeah, here I need to mention that tomorrow I will have, as a part of Hou2Touch program, the first lecture of the course we're starting, and it's the course is not free, but tomorrow we decided to do an open lecture for everyone, so that you could check what it's going to be, and there will be like everyone who was registered would get the link if so they could visit it if they are interested. And then it will be like a full-scale 14 weeks course in Max, where you will understand not only what it is all about, but exactly every object and how to create something similar by yourself, and also how you could like modify this and turn into the movement, sound, light, whatever. So yeah, and I want to say thank you to Creative Coding and to Hou2Touch for inviting to give this lecture. I don't know if there are any questions. I still didn't get any from the assistants. I don't know if they are checking for that or not. If there are none of them, we can just stop here, but maybe I need to wait 10 seconds to because of the buffer delay in streaming. Thanks to everyone. I hope that was helpful, interesting, and feel free to contact me if you will have any comments or questions after the lecture. I think it should be not super complicated to find any of my contacts. Yeah, and hope to see you tomorrow, and good luck. Thanks to everyone.